grabs her drink, throws it all over the daughter. Old Mormonism, and then I moved to Christian. I don't know, the future that comes from it, like from that little girl dying, from whatever reason.
So, the last time we saw each other was at my place down in Pullman with Caleb.
Yes.
All the whole Sedgwick gang was down there.
Yes.
And that was a really fun night.
It was really fun.
Yeah. I don't know. We were talking about all sorts of random crazy nonsense.
Oh my gosh, we were up so late. We were up till like 1 a.m., maybe even 1:30, and we had to get up early the next day too. Like that's what the crazy part about it was. I had to get up early around like 8ish or so to go down to church with Sam, or it was the time before.
I went there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really crazy night. We were talking about all sorts of things, watching all sorts of videos. I don't know, I think I passed out while you guys were still talking.
We were talking about all sorts of stuff, especially when it came to like hallucinogenics or spiritual things, and like the big questions about that. I don't know if you've thought more about stuff and things since then.
A little bit, actually. It's weird because the new people that I've been meeting lately, you know, everyone has so many different ideas.
Everybody does.
Everyone has.
It's fun. Yeah.
I know. And I even just yesterday, I don't know if you've heard about it, but there's this podcast or documentary of this guy. I think it's called Religolution or something like that. It's a weird play on words, but this guy, he goes all around to talk to a bunch of different people from different cultures and their different religions and asks them, why do you believe that? And asks them, you know, all of these questions, trying to figure out what makes them believe in what they believe in. And my coworker sent that to me. He said it's the reason why he no longer really believes in any religion. I don't know. I think it's kind of one of those things that when I was growing up, you know, I was a Christian I was like old Mormonism, and then I moved to Christian. And then as I got a little bit older, I kind of stopped really believing in anything because of that same reason. I was like, there's so many religions out there, and yes, of course, you know, I think to have love, kindness, to be a good person, I think those are all very important things. But maybe there's not just like this one person that I'm thinking of. Maybe it's just something is out there and it's like something divine, something great, but who the heck am I to know? And it kind of made me like sidestep away from it. But I don't know, the funny thing is in my life, as soon as I kind of went back to like going to church, back to being Christian, back to doing all of those things, you know, you're a lot happier. And every single person that I've met that goes and, you know, believes in God, you know, goes to church every Sunday, they just have this glow about them. Yeah. And the guy who sent me that video, as much as I love this guy at work, you know, he's great in his own ways. He's probably one of the most, I don't know, he's very angry all the time.
Oh, like I feel like most of my atheist friends, if you will, they're more pessimistic about the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's no hope.
There's no hope.
If this is the best it gets, that kind of sucks. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I just think that there's such a difference between certain things, and even in myself too. You know, I can see those years that I was just kind of doing my own thing, and I don't know. I am not going to say that I know everything about life, and honestly, from talking to a bunch of different people, like some people go straight to this is how it is and this is what it looks like after we die and this is what God wants for you. And there's other people that are kind of like, yes, I believe God is out there, but I'm not, you know, naive enough to think that I know exactly what it looks like. Yeah. And I kind of fall between that where I'm like, I say my prayers and I do all my things and I go to church, but I have a feeling that it's probably not exactly what, you know, everyone thinks it is. Do you feel that way at all? Or is it more so you think you know exactly what it is?
I don't think I know anything at all, first of all. But, you know, I do believe, like, in Jesus Christ specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
That he came down and died for my sins.
I believe that too.
And I think that then the Bible is the word inspired by the Holy Spirit, right?
Right.
So, like, when we have questions about who our God is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the Bible ultimately will hold the answer, or at least give you something to hold you over, and or just be like, yeah, why are you questioning God, dude? So, you know, there's a lot of things that I have struggled to answer, or a lot of big questions that ultimately I don't think I can answer.
Right.
Like, nothing has the answer for it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one being, you know, like, what makes good, if that makes sense. You know, we're really just, like, good morally. Like, what, like,
Okay.
love, kindness. God, I don't know. What are the good things? Puppies, you know? Like, why are they good in the eyes of God? Why can we trust? I think you can answer why can we trust in the standard of good set by God,
Mm-hmm.
but why is that ultimately good and not anything else?
Right. I guess that's true. I think...
Is there another reality where that good could be twisted into something different?
Interesting
You
to
see what
think
I'm
about. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
To kind of back up a little bit, there's so much. I know a lot of people think, you know, oh, the Bible is just some book that they wrote and all these things, but there's so much facts that state back. Yes, Jesus Christ was there. Yes, yeah, he died. All of those things. The Bible was written by so many different people too that all have the same stories. You know, there's a lot of science that backs it all up. So that's something that I've never, you know, questioned without a doubt. I think for me, it's like the afterlife part of it. That's where I'm like, I don't know what that looks like. I just kind of go off of, you know, what I hope would be there. You know what I mean? Like, I believe in heaven and hell. I just don't think it looks like exactly what I think it looks like.
What do you think it looks like?
Because
I have my own theories, but, you know, like, the Bible... It's not a detailed book about every single thing ever. You know, it's just telling you what you need to know for the most part about how to have a relationship with Christ. And that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much
the
it.
Afterlife is not important right now. So it's like it doesn't focus on it. There's a little bit in there that kind of teases you. It just tells you it's going to be good.
Pretty much.
You know, that's kind of all it tells you.
You better do good in here, otherwise you're not going to make it to that place. That's great.
Well, you don't have to do good here. That's kind of the awesome part. Is that we are incapable of doing good.
Well, yes, but I mean, some people can do better than others. I mean, I think my argument with that is there's obviously some people who aren't repenting and some people who, you know, aren't really trying, you know, the murderers and the crazy people and the...
Well, yeah.
You know, those kind of people, I feel like they definitely are, I don't know. I think that you have small things that you do that are bad, obviously, you know.
I think everything I do is bad. I don't think I'm capable of good without God within me.
Well, of course. See, that's the thing that I think is going to make you the difference, you know, between someone who maybe doesn't deserve to be in heaven and someone who does. Is I think you have that moral compass and you have, you know, you took what your parents gave you. Some people don't.
Do you think you can deserve, like, or earn your way into heaven?
I feel like earn is a strong word. I think that if you have the heart and the soul that are super kind and super good, if you do your best in this life to be a kind person, despite having, you know, things that you do that are bad, which every single day, like, you know, you kick something and you curse and you're like, oh shoot, shouldn't have done that, you know, or you get angry with someone, you know, like there's the smallest of things, you know, that is a sin. A sin equals another sin. I mean, you could kill someone and then you could go and lie to someone, and God said that was the same weight, you know, a sin is a sin. Yeah. But I think that if you do your best and you are really trying, I think that has meaning, and I think that's important in some way.
Faith without works is dead kind of thing.
Kind of. I just mean, God knows your heart and your soul, right?
Okay.
And there are some people that I've met in this life that I'm really just like, wow, you have like no shred of care in the world that you're hurting people around you. You have, you see that you're hurting people. You see that you're doing things that are affecting people negatively, and you don't care. You're just going to continue to do that. And I feel like those have consequences in some form or another, whether that's, the karma in this life that God gives, or in the afterlife that God was talking about. But I think that even though no one in this life is perfect, no one in this life is genuinely good without having love and kindness and God's spirit in you, I think that those who try, or those who make the effort to be good, I think that has something to it. I think that's kind of what gets you there.
You mentioned karma. Do you believe in karma?
I just believe that, if you are good to the people around you, usually good comes back. Yeah, it's nothing like, I don't know what religion that is or whatever. I just think that.
I don't know either.
Is that part of a religion? Is that like
I think
Buddhism?
Karma is a Buddhist thing.
It's a Buddhist thing.
I think.
Yeah.
Karma's, I don't really understand it fully or what it is, but I think Christianity has its own version of it to a degree, where it's not something that, I don't think God punishes us whatsoever. Like, if we're bad, the whole idea is that he forgives. Right? So it's like, that's, the whole idea is that we are so incapable of doing good that we need him to be our good. And then so because of our incapable or inability to do good, the whole idea of us getting to heaven has nothing to do with us, but rather the gift of God himself and his own mercy, which means that all glory goes to him, that kind of thing. So it's like karma. Then if he doesn't punish us, it's something about, it speaks of how he will reward and or bless us if we're righteous, kind of thing, if we are following his will, if that makes sense.
Perfect. So that's what you think gets you into heaven, is like how righteous you are?
No, I believe I am incapable of being righteous, and all my righteousness is found within him. So it's all him, right? So it's like me, myself. Personally, I actually subscribe more to the being chosen and the elect and all that.
Oh, you and Sam probably have deep conversations. Sam believes that as well.
I would love to talk to Sam. Anytime I do talk to him, it's so much fun. Sam is awesome. Yeah. So I believe more in that, where basically it's more so of a, if you are part of God's flock, when he speaks and or, and that means like speaking through others, just attacking your heart, making it softer towards him. Could be anything. Could be anything and everything, right? It's like you will hear his voice. I think it's in John. I could whip it out if need be, but it's John something, where it talks about how God's flock, there's like two flocks. He's talking to Pharisees. You know what Pharisees are? Mm-hmm. Like the false teachers or something like that, or the prideful teachers even of the time. My
mind immediately went to Pharaoh for some reason, but I got
shout out to Pharaoh, dude.
Shout out to Pharaoh.
Bring him back. That'd be cool to have a podcast with Pharaoh.
With Pharaoh.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I mean, yeah, but he'd probably, I don't know. He seems like he's a rough kind of a guy a little bit.
I could tackle him. So he describes then that the Pharisees are in a separate flock as they're not listening to him. And he says that his flock will recognize his voice. And the way I've kind of wrapped around that analogy is that if you are part of his flock that has been gifted to him by God, which is said in the same passage.
From the day that you're born.
Or maybe even before you were born.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. That you like, no matter how, like, imagine a sheep with a shepherd, right?
Yeah.
The sheep wander off.
Right.
I mean, imagine maybe before you were born, you were already far off and you're lost in the woods, right? And there's all these wolves in sheep clothing around you telling you all sorts of different lies. But then when you hear Christ's voice, even if it's so faint, you don't know quite where it's coming from, and you might even run the other direction. Right. But ultimately, Jesus is depicted as the good shepherd who will go grab his sheep that's lost in the woods and return them to the flock. And then since we're dumb sheep, we wander off again. It's kind of like I think that's a really good analogy of it, where he then says that God has gifted his flock to him, Jesus, and then he's like, then God and I are one. Like the whole Trinity kind of thing. So it's not only then does that mean that you can't lose your salvation, but I think that means then that if you are part of his flock, you will hear his voice. Now, then you can run in circles and say, well, do we have free will or not, right? Does that destroy our free will? Well, then you can...
That was my next question.
Yeah. So then you can keep going and say, well, maybe it's like, I've always had the thought, if Lucifer, Satan, right? If he was up in heaven, standing before the glory and goodness of God and the loving nature of God.
Which he was.
Like literally looking at the guy, looking at God himself, right?
Didn't care.
It didn't care. He still said, you know what? I'd rather serve myself and make myself God. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't know, maybe humans have the same ability to choose that, and God knows who ultimately looks at his goodness and goes, oh, wow. But then I go, and some, you know, and then the others would be more like Lucifer because they have that free will aspect.
Right.
So I don't know if that's what it is. And or then I go back to, well, if I'm ultimately wicked without God's influence on me, why would I simply would not choose him without him bringing me to him. Right. So then does that then thwart that idea of, you know, some like being within his glory and choosing him? Because if it wasn't for his glory within me already, then I would never choose him anyway. I would never recognize his voice. Right. So then why does he then... Why do some people then recognize his voice and others don't? Right? That's probably a massive question that I don't think I can answer. I think Romans chapter 9, Paul tackles it and he's like, does this make God unrighteous? And then he's like, surely not. And he goes into the sovereignty of God and talks about how, you know, if God was a potter and he made, you know, clay vessels, does the clay speak to the potter and tell it how it wants to be made? And he goes, no. You know, the clay does not speak to the potter. The potter has full control of however he wants it to be. And then he says how, now, who are we to say if God did make some clay vessels for wrath and some for his mercy? And then it goes into then how, I don't know, how it's like those people have their purpose still, just like how we have our purpose.
Right.
Where then ultimately it'll all be flushed out and we can trust then through our own relationship with him that it's all ultimately just.
See, I'm on another thing.
Okay.
I feel like in my belief system.
Yeah, go for it.
We are all born innocent. I think God wants all of us.
Okay.
That's ultimately what I think. And I think that those of us who, you know, are influenced by Satan the most, you know, I think that there is not even just a spiritual war. This is something I've been thinking a lot about recently, is the spiritual war here on earth. You know, you have...
Every day, it's a battle.
Every single day, you have all these little things that test you. And I think Satan will come in when when you least expect it, or even when you're trying to grow that relationship with God. It's something that I found that I was struggling with until I was really looking at the Bible and going like, wow, okay, the reason it's so hard for me right now is because I'm pushing all that away. And, you know, Satan kind of wants to grab a hold of you. But I think that we are all born innocent, you know, kind of like, think of animals. Animals are all very innocent. You think of a baby. That baby has, you know, I don't know, no other influences in life except for the family around him.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that as you grow, you know, Satan's going to come into your life in different ways, and so is God. I think God has, you know, his influences, his angels going around as well. And for me, I think that, yes, I agree with what you're saying in a way. Like, those of...
I think it... Yeah.
Like, his followers, like, his flock, they're going to hear his voice. Yeah. But I also think that...
I would agree that he... I've been debating this with my brothers now for a long time because we're all around the board with it. It's been really fun, and their perspective is more so that God still gives opportunities to all of those that ultimately won't hear his voice. Right. That's kind of where I'm going with it. Yeah, where like he does desire for all to come with, but ultimately it won't play out that way. Right. And that's not because it's not because he doesn't love them and or want them, but it's because of some other
free will.
or at least respect of it.
I think so. I mean, I think that's one of, the greatest things that he did for us too. It shows his love a lot.
Yeah.
It's, you get the choice, and if you're going to be influenced by Satan over here, fine. Like, sucks. I wish that you can come back and that you're always forgiven. I already love you. You can do nothing wrong in my eyes. Like, I died for your sins, but you can choose where you want to go in this life. And I think that's something that a lot of people take for granted as well in this life, that, me as a Christian, when I was growing up, I just thought that I could pray about it and be done with it. And there's a lot of people out there that kind of went completely the other way and are living a really sad life in a lot of cases, or they're just not feeling the grace and the glory that is God. And I don't know, I think that it gives me a lot of hope knowing that those who do stray away, or those who maybe never knew God in their life, were always kind of on, the path towards Satan, or, didn't travel the less beaten path, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think, know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's like the narrow path, and then there's the wide one. Yeah. I think the scripture that I've been reading, I don't have it in front of me, but I think you're able to interpret it a few different ways. When he says vessels of wrath and vessels of mercy, or like even the chosen, maybe it's all of humanity that are the chosen, which is why we're the ones that ultimately got born, right? Maybe. Or, and then the vessels of wrath may have been more the demons, I guess.
Perhaps,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't have the scripture in front of me to really read around the context, but there's definitely different ways you can either interpret or spin it around, and I don't want to claim to know the actual truth of it.
Right.
Ultimately, I have no idea. So this is cool. The idea of free will is so interesting. I think the predestination versus free will. So do you know what Arminianism and Calvinism is?
I've definitely looked this up. I'm pretty sure okay, please give me some grace if I'm wrong. Okay, but I'm just spitting them out. I'm pretty sure Sam's church, like I don't remember which one is what. I think
Baptist.
They're Baptist, but I think Arminian or Calvinism, I'm not sure which one is which. But one of them believes that what you were saying, that it's predetermined. Like, you and I could be sitting here, and let's say God said, you're going to heaven when you die, and you're going to hell when you die.
Yeah.
You're a vessel for wrath, and you're a vessel for my good, and you're going to go down, you're going to experience all that life has to offer, and then learn of everything, learn why I'm so good, learn why, it's so great to be in heaven. Then you're going to come back, and you're going to be home again. And then I think the other one is, well, you have free will. Anyone can go into heaven. Anyone can go into hell.
Right.
Depending on how you live your life. Yes. Which one's which?
So Arminianism is 100% free will. You get to choose whether you want to go to heaven or not, whether you listen to God or not, and you can lose and regain your salvation on and off. And then Calvinism is you are pre-chosen so these are the two massive extremes, right? And then Calvinism is you have zero choice in anything. God has already made those choices for you, and you are chosen, and you cannot defy against that, if that makes sense. There's no choice whatsoever over here, and there's absolute choice over here.
Right.
Yeah. So, it's probably neither of those, because there are two extremes that I feel like the Bible points towards both. So it's probably a both somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. I think it would be so nice to believe in, you're chosen, you can do no wrong. You're set in this life.
Oh, you can do wrong, all right. Oh, yeah.
Well, like, whatever you choose, you're going to heaven, I definitely agree with you. Like, you definitely need God in your life to have a good life, to experience all the goodness in there, because we're all gonna screw up every single day. But how nice would it be to be like, yeah, no, I'm part of his crew. I could go mess up, but as long as I come back, as long as I start doing some good stuff and am a good person, then I'll feel proud to talk to him when I do get back to heaven to talk to him. So that,
well, I think for me, Jesus Christ offers me peace and freedom. And what is part of that peace and freedom? It's that I don't need to worry worry about pleasing him, if that makes sense. Now, I want to, because I love him, because of that grace that he has given me, and that peace, that he's given me. So I do works out of love for him, right? But it has nothing to do with earning my way into heaven or proving to other people that I'm good or have the Holy Spirit within me, right?
Right.
It's kind of yeah. I think that I hit that there.
Yeah, no, you did. And to wrap it around a little bit, you know, you were saying about what makes puppies good and what makes, you know, the good works that you do good. I think if you don't do those things, you're going to feel it in some way. You know, it doesn't feel good to do bad things. And you have that moral compass in you, and I think that's God. I honestly think that, you know, he kind of points you which way, and it's like, that doesn't feel good because...
You mentioned, though, some people that have seemingly they don't have that.
Yes.
Or at least to a much lesser degree. I think the more you do it, the less you hear him. It's kind of like you can push him away, and then you can bring him closer, if that makes sense. It's all about like learning how to discern his voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, my mom used to say to me, you know, we never really watched horror movies. I was never a horror movie fan. I know a lot of people in my life who are like, wow, we really need to watch this horror movie that's coming out. It looks so good. I'm obsessed with horror movies. That's such a good night to have. And sure, you know, for me, it's never been my cup of tea, but I think it comes from my mama. She used to say things like, don't put things like that into your head. You will become numb to it. You know, if you lie enough, you're going to become numb to it. If you, I don't know, I always used to wonder how anyone could kill another person. Like, if I even saw, you know, anything like traumatic enough like that, I don't know how I would even go about my life even realizing that I've seen something like that happen.
Yeah,
you know, if I accidentally killed someone, I think that would be probably the worst thing ever, you know.
Oopsie.
Yeah, just a little bit. But, you know, you hear about these serial killers and they go around and true crime and all those things, and you can become numb to it. You can really go out throughout your life and realize that, hey, you know, I'm going to do this again and again. Oh, there's really no consequences for me, you know, if I get away with it. Or it's not that bad, you know what I mean?
What if I feel like a lot of them will convince themselves more that they're doing good.
I think to justify their actions, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they may, either they're, I don't know, like a literal psychopath. If you don't feel emotions whatsoever, that's another thing. It's the bond between the soul and the mind and how that affects it. Like if you're, where are thoughts coming from? Is it from your soul or is it from your mind? I don't think I can think in my foot, even as hard as I try. It's definitely up here, right? So it's like, I don't know, what leads the thoughts? So like if I'm a pathological liar, if that makes sense, how much of my flesh, my brain, my actual brain meat with the wrinkles controls my thoughts, or at least limits it, right?
Very, very curious, because there's a lot of studies done on psychopaths and their brains are different. And or people will get tumors. You know, I've seen a couple of different stories where, like, this woman, she used to be like the kindest thing ever, and she was so sweet and so wonderful, and she got a tumor, and no one knew it, but she was acting absolutely insane, just rude all the time. I don't know, started becoming a little bit abusive towards, you know, her kids a little bit, and then they went to the doctors because they're like, you are not my mother, something is wrong, and there was a tumor in her head that was affecting it. And I feel like that's very curious to think about your soul, your mind. I think your mind has a lot to do with you know, your body here on earth. I think your soul is who you are. I feel like I've heard a lot of stories of people who are leaving this world and like they come back from death.
The near-death experiences. I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, and they kind of be like, oh, this is me, this is who I am, and then they go. Yeah,
they kind of have there's a lot of similar experiences where they describe feeling like they have either, like they have the burden of flesh lifted off of them. That's how they kind of describe it, where their thoughts are way more clear and cohesive. They're able to think way more clearly, and they're able to see more. Everything's more clear around them, and they feel like they have understood everything all of a sudden. Where it's like, okay, so if that's actually us, and we're attached to our body, right? Then our brain is then limiting us. Then how does it work with somebody who's even disabled or autistic or like a literal psychopath? You know, how does that then work with self-control and or seeking that higher being, whatever it is, right?
Let's say we're going off of the Arminian
Okay,
right,
yeah.
Over here.
Yeah.
Do you think you could be forgiven? Let's say you are a psychopath. Something's wrong with your brain. You're killing people. You're not a very nice person. You don't believe in God. You know, in all shapes and other forms, really just go towards Satan's way of life. And then something's wrong with your brain. And then you die and you go and you have your soul. Do you think God forgives that?
I don't know. I believe he's ultimately just. So,
I don't know. Of insanity.
Yeah, I don't know.
Insane on earth. That was not my fault.
I don't know. That's such a good question. I don't know. I don't know how that would really pan out. You know, ultimately, if even somebody who has lived with the Holy Spirit within them their entire life, right? Like a Christian, I guess, and he has repented, you know, ultimately you are still judged for what you have done. You know, because it's like the idea with the Calvinism where you have no choices no matter what. It's like, well, ultimately it states, I think in the Bible, don't quote me on this, or maybe do. Please check it on me.
I'll check you.
Okay, sorry. Cool. It says how God will not tempt you to sin, or God will not force temptation upon you, if that makes sense. So it's like when you fall into sin, it ultimately is your choice to do so. God even says that he gives you an out, and it's up to you to either take that out. He never gives you, he holds Satan back pretty much to the point where any temptation that comes your way is something that you can handle if you flee to Christ. Right.
If you choose him, for sure.
So ultimately then there is choice. So it can't be fully Calvinism, that's for sure. The two extremes, probably somewhere in the middle. So it's like, I don't know. If that person who's a psychopath dies after murdering 1 million people, but he never had the emotional capacity to even understand his wrong, I don't know. God, beats me, dude.
It's crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, how would you judge that person?
I definitely would have more grace towards them. You know, when things like that happen, it's, gosh, it's hard. I don't know. You see trials happen, I guess. And that's where, you know, these true crime stories come from, is they go in and then they plead the insanity check because they've gone to the doctors and they say, look, do you see his brain? You know, that's smaller over here, or he had a tumor here and that's why he did things that he did. Malformed, something's wrong with him. Don't be as harsh on him. And I think people are more willing to forgive that instead of someone who is wholly okay, doing great, and then they just said, well, no, I'm going to actually do these things as well and hurt other people around them in the process.
I don't remember the study or why or where or how. I don't remember anything about it. All I remember is that there was some sort of professor. He was trying to do some sort of study on finding psychopaths. And he like tested his whole class, you know.
Did he find one in his class?
And he found one. And it turned out to be himself.
He was the psychopath?
He was the psychopath. So he himself then, you know, everything kind of, like all the puzzles went together. And it's like, he has always had like a less he has less ties to emotion, if that makes sense. He's always had a less emotional connection compared to other people. And, you know, that really apparently made sense to him in that moment as he outed himself as a psychopath. But it's like, so they are able to function in society. It kind of depends then on, is that person who's a psychopath murdering that person, is that because their brain is malformed? Maybe there's different levels of it, you know. It's not like there's one thing where it's like you're absolutely insane. But I don't know. It's not, I mean, good thing I'm not the judge, I guess.
I know, it's kind of where I was gonna go next. Like, well, we don't really gotta worry about it, so. It's not our problem.
Leave it to the all-knowing being that knows everything about that person within their intent and capabilities.
Which also gives me a lot of like comfort, I guess, as well, because I mean, like I said, I wasn't always, you know, down the straight and narrow. I definitely went off and was like, whatever. I mean, I kind of went with what my older brother was, you know, kind of went with it, and he was like, there's so many different religions out there. You know, you study them, because he went to, you know, 2 different schools and, you know, did all of his classwork. While he was doing that, he learned about a bunch of different religions, a bunch of different cultures, and in learning about them, it's kind of hard to be like, well, how do I know for sure that this one's the right one here? And I've always said I believe in love and kindness, and I will always believe in that.
Yeah.
Even if God is not real, I used to say this when I was 5 or 6, and it stayed with me. Even if God's not real, all of his commandments in the Bible, or what should be
the morality
followed.
of it.
Yeah, for sure. But I went away from it because of those reasons, and then I came back, and so if I didn't have that comfort of him knowing exactly where my heart was at, exactly why I made the decisions that I made, and the reason why I came back too, I feel like, I don't know, I just think that God knows each and every one of us very, very well.
Yeah.
Then how can you judge someone for making bad decisions if you can see
you can't be just unless you know the full picture.
Yeah.
So ultimately, he's the only one that's qualified to cast judgment at all, which is why he tells us not to, because we don't know anything. Yeah,
I don't.
Isn't that rad? It's kind of fun to be dumb. It's like all the responsibilities kind of off me to a degree. I guess that's not true, but like as the sheep that wanders, it's like sheep are dumb.
Yeah,
we're described as sheep by God. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, just a little bit. We are
it's dumb. A little insulting maybe, but it's chill, I guess.
I guess so.
I don't know. I don't think a sheep feels responsibility to stay within the herd, if that makes sense.
We might be like one up higher than sheep, maybe.
You think so? Yeah, we're
like a goat.
It's a good analogy, but maybe we're not actually sheep. Yeah.
I think it's a good analogy too. I don't know though. We really don't know anything.
Nope. It's fun though.
When you think about the universe too, like it's huge.
Isn't it? Yeah. I mean, when I look out into the stars, it was really cool. I was on Moscow Mountain a few nights ago. We were, my friend Asher, he took me and some other peeps into his truck, and we went off-roading and stuff. He took me to this beautiful spot where there's an opening in the trees and a cool rock to kind of chill on, if that makes sense. And you're overlooking Moscow and the lights of it. And looking up, you're far enough away from the light pollution that you could see the galaxy going overhead.
Very cool.
Super cool. And it's huge. Yeah, it's actually gorgeous. I don't know. I think the Bible, it talks about how the firmament showeth his handiwork. I think that's
what does firmament mean again? I
think firmament is
is that?
There's a lot of different interpretations depending on the translation of the Bible you're reading. It can either be taken as dome, or it can be taken as just the sky.
Oh,
like the atmosphere.
Okay, that makes sense.
The atmosphere, if you will.
The firmament.
Yeah. So the firmament showeth his handiwork being like the galaxy above, where it's like it's showing his glory and his creativity and his beauty, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's what that's supposed to mean.
Do you think God has other side projects?
In
the galaxy.
I don't know. I've thought about it like if there were any other... This kind of goes back to morality, where can you fit... If God claims to be good, and he's kind of defined good as, love, kindness, forgiveness, all that stuff, right? Ultimately, even serving. It's like, is there any other way? If he himself is good, if you put him into another reality, or us into another reality, or any other version, because it could be completely different from this one, right? Down to the laws of physics. Can there be any other combination where that definition of good, which is God, be represented in any way that's better than now? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This might be the purest version of it, I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah, but then maybe that's limiting him. I don't know. Shoot.
I have no idea.
Is there, yeah. So does he have any side projects? If he does, it's probably not about, or it wouldn't affect us.
No, well, I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of alien movies out there, but...
aliens? Like within our reality. Oh, man.
Yeah. Where are you? Okay.
I was in a whole different thing where it's like, he's got us over here in this folder, and then he's got these people over here in this folder.
I see what you're saying. Okay. No, I think for me, I was just kind of like, since the galaxy is so big, I wonder if there's like... Maybe there's humans, like, because I would like to think that, maybe there's different kind of creatures out there. And yeah, we call them aliens because they're out in a different planet somewhere else surviving. But I I would like to think that if he had different side projects, he would make them also in the same form. Maybe not.
Like we bump into other humans.
I don't know. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
He said that he made us in his form, so I have a feeling that he would make... It's just the theory. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, aliens are one of the biggest things that I question. I think my current... You want to hear my spiel about them? What I think they are?
Yeah.
Maybe I've already told you about...
You might have. It might have come up a couple of times in our past conversation.
It's like...
Well, the government said that aliens were real. They have proof.
Yeah.
But then they don't show us the proof.
No, they don't. There's just a lot of word of mouth, pretty much, and or eyewitnesses that claim to have seen stuff, and or claim to have seen the government working on stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of it.
This makes me question. That's the reason why I think about this stuff in the first place. I'm like,
I would argue that there can't be aliens that are smarter than us.
Well, that's why I said in the same form.
Right.
Yeah.
We're made in his image. So if there are aliens out there that were either smarter and or the same intelligence level, if you will, or the same capability of questioning self,
right?
Then how would that... I don't know if that would debunk the Bible or prompt it up more. I don't know how that would... I don't know. I think right now that ultimately all of it... all the alien stuff, the saucers, if you will, the technologies that are potentially something that we might be able to make eventually, I would argue that it's all either demons and or Nephilim.
Really? Well, yeah. I think maybe, like years and years and years ago, thousands and thousands of years ago, we used to not be very smart either. I mean, we had like books and philosophy and, people who stared at the stars, but, people thought that Earth was the center of our gravity. People thought that Earth was flat. People thought that, I don't know, they definitely weren't as smart as we were now. They didn't have electricity, they didn't have all the things that we have. I feel like there was, they weren't as smart. So maybe if there are, another race out there somewhere and they do have flying saucers or they do have like, I don't know, high travel through space, maybe they're just a few thousand years ahead of us. Yeah. And they didn't get wiped away, by a huge flood.
Oh, super true. I guess we've been set back a few times here. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. It's crazy. There's like 1,600 years, supposedly, between Adam and Eve and the flood and Noah.
1,600 years?
Yeah, which means that was it. Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it was so much longer.
Oh, really? I think it's only 1,600. Maybe I'm wrong. But either way, there's a huge chunk of human history that we are just unaware of. Gone. I mean, I think a lot of it remains here, which is like the pyramids and other structures, because it doesn't say that it destroys everything. It just kills everything.
It just kills everyone, yeah.
And then a lot of these old structures and old civilizations that we're digging up, we're digging them up because they're buried under mud, which makes sense then that a great flood would wash everything and move mud around.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I think it makes sense to me where, especially something like the pyramids, where you can question the Egyptian ability to build them. They have built pyramids before, but not on that scale. Especially the pyramids at Giza specifically, the structure or the gigantic blocks that are used, they were mined in a quarry. I think it was either 500 or 5,000 miles away, something like that. Yeah,
and they had to there's a lot of different videos about that where they're trying to figure out how in the heck that they moved them. And
yeah,
they just talk about giants.
That there's ways that they could do it. Well, the giants are the Nephilim.
That's what the Nephilim is.
Yeah, do you know about the Nephilim? I can tell you all about them.
He said, I've studied this.
Oh, please. Well, kind of. I just find them fascinating. Because if I believe in the Bible talks about the Nephilim, which means that giants have been a thing.
I feel like there are giants. I mean, there's dwarves. I feel like that's offensive to some people.
Midgets?
There are midgets in this world. So
Jeremiah went to midget wrestling.
Where?
Over at Spokane.
There's a midget wrestling in Spokane. At least,
I don't know. They might drive around the country, but they held one in Spokane, yeah.
That's crazy. I don't think I've ever met a midget in my life, which is not saying I haven't seen one, around here. Where are they? Anyway, just around.
I don't know. You got to be looking down to see them. Yeah, I haven't. My old teacher, her parents were midgets.
Oh, was she? She wasn't a midget?
No, she wasn't. No,
How
they
does
got
that work?
normal sized kids.
How does that work?
I don't know.
How does that? I mean, okay, just natural childbirth stuff, but like, I feel like that's.
I think they're still capable. Yeah.
I guess babies aren't. Okay. We're getting off track over here. I feel like giants do exist in the sense of the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, I guess that's how I would feel being a midget then. That's what a midget feels like.
Probably a little bit, but they talk about David and Goliath.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I think he was either a Nephilim for sure or I don't know, because I think he was described as 9 feet tall, which I don't know how tall they're supposed to get. But I think the biggest source of the Nephilim is within the Apocrypha, being the book of Enoch. Do you know what that is? Do you know what the Apocrypha is?
No.
The Apocrypha is like books of the Bible that were, that they don't know where the author was or who the author is or when it was written, so they don't include it within the canon.
Really?
Because there's things that either within those books contradict or they can't historically prove that it was inspired by the Holy Spirit.
Someone just was like, I really want to be like a part of this.
Yeah,
they
probably
wrote like a little book and then try to put it in there. Like,
yeah,
who put this one in here? Was that you? No.
Yeah, so there's quite a few of those books that just like don't hit one mark. You know, that they just disregard for the sense of continuity of just saying like, this one we could prove, these ones we can prove, this one we can't. So the book of Enoch, and then some of them even have evidence pointing towards why they shouldn't be trusted. But so it's really interesting, actually. A lot of Christians disregard them completely because of that. But I like to more so see the value in them still. At least they can fill in voids. Just don't treat them like truth, 100% truth, because there may be truth within them to a degree.
Right. I feel like it's still a piece of history.
The book of Enoch, even being within that group of Apocrypha, was or is still in the book of Jude, that is canon in the Bible. The book of Jude quotes it. So it's like, okay, so if I can say the entire Bible's truth and Jude quotes Enoch, then at least those verses, even if it's only those ones within the book of Enoch, are truth. So it's like, I don't want to disregard it completely. But
makes sense.
The book of Enoch, it tries to fill in the void of that pre-flood era, where it talks about the fallen angels, how they came down onto earth and how they taught humans, like Adam and Eve, right, and their descendants. Right. They taught them technology, how to harness sound and energy and basically everything about the earth, right, and how to master it. And so it's like then Ecclesiastes, it's a Old Testament book, and it talks about how nothing under the sun has been made for the first time or something. I'm definitely butchering that, but it basically says
I know
that
where you're going with it though.
Like nothing that we do now is new, meaning like I believe that there was an advanced civilization pre-flood because of the book of Enoch kind of thing, which I probably give it more weight than I should. Yeah. But I think it's fun because it's either I don't know it all or I just fill it in my imagination with this. So it's the fallen angels come down and they take a fleshly form. I believe demons are able to manifest, if you will. And they impregnated women and they made Nephilim because of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Nephilim then, being the giants, they held no allegiance to God because they were not created by God. They were created within the bounds of God's creation, but they were not, they had no sense of relationship towards God, even being half man, I suppose, because of the woman part. But yeah. So really their allegiance would lay with Satan, right? And so it's like there's a lot of even other religious texts and or historical documents that speak of the kings of old and the nations of old, if you will. And I believe it's all the Nephilim and or fallen angels that would be ruling the world back then, which is why I think the flood was necessary. Yeah, this is I gotta say, this is not biblical. This is like me just talking on my butt trying to put pieces together with all sorts of random nonsense.
That's why we're here,
Cool, yeah.
Discussion.
where then the Nephilim, it's possible that the human genes, if you will, like Noah would have been the only one with pure human genes since Adam and Eve, where all the rest of them were tainted or something like that.
In some way or form.
In some way or form, yeah. At least that's an idea where God said, they will never come to me because of their wickedness. And he's like, that sucks. Destroys them all.
Oh, boy.
Saves Noah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think about that. There's a couple different times that I felt like, well, it was the flood, and then the, what was the city of, not Babylon. I'm thinking of the one where she looks back and she turns to salt, because that entire city was so evil that he was gonna.
I think that's Sodom and Gomorrah.
Is that Sodom and Gomorrah? That's Sodom and Gomorrah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think so.
Babylon? What's Babylon? Is that the one where they use the trumpets to like break down the walls or something?
That's Jericho.
Jericho.
Jericho, they were walking around it and the walls collapsed.
They got this whole song about it, just grow up singing that. I don't know what Babylon is, but that's kind of what I think. There's a few times where God kind of wipes the slate clean.
Yeah.
And
at least with
that's curious to me, because I mean that would make sense. Your thoughts on it, like how it's okay, they're never gonna come to me because they have some type of taint of demon and Satan's all in them.
Sure, yeah.
Something like that. Like that would make sense for the chosen part of it.
That makes sense for at least the flood, but like Sodom and Gomorrah, I think Sodom and Gomorrah, it's either that or Jericho. I think Jericho has another example of somebody being saved within it, but I think Sodom and Gomorrah specifically,
that family.
Somebody went in, there was a family, right? I think it was either Abraham or Moses, or who was it, who was looking down upon the city and saying, God, please have mercy upon them, right?
Right.
I don't remember who it was, but somebody was saying that, and God was like,
I would feel like
no.
It starts with an E.
And then, he was like, but what if there's somebody in there who knows you? And God was like, there is but one. I shall, save them, if you will. Like angels went in there, got them out.
Them.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, so if God cares about them because they call upon his name, it's like,
right.
I don't know. Is that not showing his love and mercy, and then ultimately being just because we could trust that he is all-knowing? So then all the other people had to go bye-bye, I guess.
I guess so. But would he have saved them if Moses or
I guess the idea is that they would never come to him, even if, like, I don't know. Because if the Holy Spirit tried to soften their hearts and, show them the love and passion of God, it's like, would they choose him?
Would they choose him ever, is my question.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. I guess not. I mean, would he not spare them? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I think maybe God has like reasons that he does things sometimes, because
Well, yeah.
Not everyone can be saved. Like you think of. Well, I just mean.
Yeah, no, for sure. You're right.
Think of like a little girl who's very innocent, sweet, and kind. You obviously think children, in my eyes anyway, they're like puppies. Like they're innocent.
They're all guilty.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Okay, good.
I mean, I don't know.
I really
I
feel
think they're innocent, and God talks about how he loves children.
Yes.
Jesus, there's a lot of examples where he would, the disciples were trying to get the kids to scram, and Jesus was like, no, bring them to me. Doing? And then he'd get down and like play with them,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Jesus loves them.
Right.
I don't know.
So imagine,
there is an innocence at least.
I think so. I think that's kind of like where the influence of my stuff comes from too. Is like you get influenced by God, you get influenced by Satan, you gotta choose one. Imagine one of them dies. This innocent kid who is in no way
a tragedy.
A bad thing. It's a tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's been a lot of people who go, why would God let this happen? There's no reason for her to die, or even worse things, with war and things like that, where a lot of good, really nice, innocent people die. I think sometimes, God's plan is a lot different than we think it should be. And
yeah, it is for sure.
The future that comes from it, like from that little girl dying from whatever reason, I think he kind of knows the effect that it might have on other people. There are things that have happened in my life where I was like, well, why the heck that happened? Like that was so dumb. And it really, you look at the bigger picture and you're like, okay, well, that happened so this could happen, so this could happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know, I think it kind of leads me back to, we're sheep, we're dumb, we don't really know the bigger picture. And maybe he was thinking, because he knows, there's a wonderful place out there. And, that little girl that died, as sad and hurtful as it is for the people that love her and that are around her, he's like, well, she's right here with me. She's having a great time over here.
Yeah,
you know, and because I did this, it's going to make this really positive impact on the earth in some way or form.
Yes, it's sometimes the idea is that he's teaching you a lesson, where it's like you will be equipped then with that ability to either relate and or, I don't know, to like spread his word or it's like, I don't know. If you, I feel like I have it. It's
it's on the tip.
Yeah. Being prepared for something, or rather, it's like God doesn't need us, right? God doesn't need us, but he wants
me,
us.
Okay?
Yeah, you're so right. My bad. But what he does do is he chooses to use us for his pleasure, if you will, for his ultimate will. It's kind of like spreading his word. If I think it's all the Holy Spirit, which I do believe that, then why does he need me to do anything? You know?
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't. But he chooses to use us, if that makes sense. He uses to speak through us and or influence or bring others to him through using us like as vessels to whatever.
Plant a seed. I think it's part of the Holy Spirit. I think
well, it is for sure.
Believe in God in such a way that it's the Holy Spirit that moves you, and maybe that's the Holy Spirit that's going to move them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So it's like if then those trials and stuff like that, the suffering that we go through, when we look at it more on an eternal time stamp, or maybe not even, just like why would God allow that to happen? Ultimately, not only is it teaching me to trust in him, but it's teaching me ways to relate and or like if I go through a similar situation that somebody else goes through.
Okay.
And I'm the first one that listens to them and does not judge them in the same way that maybe others do because they can't relate to the same tragedy. Maybe then that is a way that would be expressing the love of Jesus in a way that can only come from somebody who has experienced the same thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bigger picture, it's going to be good in some form or some way in the future. Maybe not to you, but to others. That makes sense. I also think, too, that, I don't know, when I read this thing, it's like you ask for patience from God, and he gets you sat in a 5-hour traffic jam to teach you patience. Or you say, please, God, let me be kind today. And he throws someone who's super angry and gets you pissed off all day so that you can learn how to be kind in those situations. Or, I think also, too, sometimes, things happen in our life and maybe they're not meant to test us. Maybe we all have our own personal road that we're going down. Like, you have your own thoughts that you're doing. You have your own plans, your own agenda for the day. Everyone's got those agendas. And maybe, those agendas with other people's, your path of life, if you will. Yeah. They're going to clash in some way. Something tragic happens. And maybe sometimes it's not meant to happen. Maybe sometimes, the person means to make the tragedy happen. But like with accidents and things like that, I think whatever happens, you can either take it as this awful thing and think that the world is awful and that why would I ever be kind to another human being because my life sucks. And you can take it that way and, be sad and upset for the rest of your life. Or you can take it, I think how God intends, the Holy Spirit intends, and you kind of look at, well, God knows more than I do. I need to not stress, I need to not worry. This sucks, I have to go through the grieving process of whatever I'm going through, whatever that may be, and know that he has a bigger picture plan for you. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. I think the way my older brother sees it when it comes to like the predestination or choice thing, he's more spun it to like a salvation isn't necessarily a choice but like everything within that is, or like tapping into God's will. Like if within that salvation, ultimately you will come to Christ. However, then how much of your life do you want to give up for him, if that makes sense? It's like, do you want to live for his will, or do you want to live for yourself? And kind of like, even if you're a sheep who's like sprinting into the woods as far as you can, eventually, he'll come grab you again. But It's like, so like that's the will aspect of it. I don't know. At least that's another idea. I don't know if that tied into what we were talking about. I think it did, kind of.
I think it did. I was following.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Cool stuff.
Very cool. I think even like where I think you're at right now, it's like ultimately even when you know Jesus, you never need to write off every other belief system ever. You don't have to completely shut down everybody else and everything else and any other option. If anything, what you want to do is challenge Christ with all of that.
Right.
To eventually find truth, right?
Okay. Right. What I came to the conclusion, because that's what my belief was, right?
Yeah.
And so like, how do you come back to Christ after you already are like, oh no, look at all these other religions. For me, I just saw that each of these religions, they had a lot of love in them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, some are, have things that are very different from what the Christians believe.
Yes.
But I think when I look at good or bad, a lot of them are just for good. And I think that in my eyes, other people that are from across the world that maybe don't have access to the Bible, they're going to feel that same love. They're going to feel God's love. And they're going to feel, the bad from Satan. And I think people will take that and make sense of it how they will, whether that's from their elders before them. And I just think that, I don't know, for me, God's kind of the answer. So I go for him, but I do think that those people who are in religions that have good moral, standards or commandments, I think that they're hearing the Holy Spirit in their own way.
I want to see if I could throw you for a loop here for a second.
Please.
Okay. Do you think Satan is capable of making us feel good?
Yeah. Think of lust. Think of the good feelings you get when you lie and you get away with it. Yeah, of course.
What about, do you think he's capable of making us feel loved?
No.
No?
I think that's God. I think you feel God in a lot of different ways. I think if it has to do with Satan, you're going to know pretty soon. I don't know. For me, I've had good and bad, when it comes to certain things. Maybe the relationship that I was in last time wasn't necessarily something that was meant to be in my life forever. But I don't think that he was a bad person. I don't think he was, something that I can completely say, yep, screw that guy. There's reasons that I loved him, and there's reasons that God loves everyone. God loves you wholly for who you are, despite if you decide to not believe in him and do all those things. I don't think so. I think God is love.
Yeah.
Continue with what you're going, though. I kind of want to hear what you have to say, but
I think Satan is capable of tricking us into thinking what he's offering us is love. So I don't think he's real love, like what you're saying. I think ultimately love comes from God. True love, right? Yeah. The sacrificial servitude, the forgiveness, all that jazz. But I believe Satan is capable of making people feel like what they have found is ultimately love. Because kind of like behind the idea that the best lie is a half-truth, right? I kind of got this idea from a video on YouTube that I saw where a guy was experimenting with mushrooms for the first time in his life, and he documented it all, where he would lock himself in a room, put a camera up to record, he blindfolded himself, and then he'd, over a month or a few months, he would take higher and higher doses.
That's not something that I've heard you should do at all.
Yeah.
I've heard that scientifically anyway, people are like,
oh, really?
You should do it once or twice a year at most.
Well, this guy did it a lot in a month for the first time ever.
That's a lot.
I don't know if it's true or not. So this is where I get, I am convinced because of one reason, but I'll get to that. So this guy then, he continues to go through this process, and he talks about how, he's not religious at all, but he started to, as he watched back the recordings, which he shows you, he has voices that speak through him. Eventually it comes up to 3 voices. 3 voices are speaking, and each of them have a different, 3 unique voices. I don't remember really what the other 2 sound like, but one I don't think I'll ever forget. It's a gorgeous voice. Beautiful.
Man or woman, or you can't tell?
A man. It was definitely a masculine voice, but just gorgeous. It was beautiful. Anyways.
Wait a minute. Is he like, how do you hear it? Is it just like...
It's audio.
It's audio, so like, is he talking and he sounds unique?
He's talking, and he has 3 different voices speaking through him.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm where you are now.
So he's tripping balls right now and speaking in 3 different voices.
Okay.
And then so he's amping it up in the video, talking about how he is a producer. He writes music and stuff like that, and he sings. He uses his voice, and he knows that his voice is not capable of reaching these different frequencies, if you will, or sounds. And so then I'm going, okay. So hallucinogenics has always been a question to me. I know we questioned it a lot the last time we saw each other.
Right.
Where I think at this point now, I'm convinced, and I can get into that more later, that it is like exposing yourself to the spiritual realm. And so like this guy, then he's having 3 voices speak through him. And what they were talking about, the 3 voices, is what convinced me that this guy was not faking it.
What are they talking about?
They were talking about love and what it means to love.
And what does it mean to love?
For them, they were saying how love is full acceptance of self, and basically everybody, however they are, you should be able to love them for who they are, and they should be able to stay that way and just do what you want because of it. Right? Where Christ, he spreads a different message where I love you so much that you are going to change and be holy and good. Right?
Right.
You're going to grow out of that, where Satan's idea of love is pride in yourself, and you don't have to change because you're already good enough.
Which leads you to can Satan trick you into believing love is a certain way?
Right. So this guy, he described these entities while he's tripping as feeling warmth and accepted, and he felt so good about it, and he did not believe that they were malevolent, but rather benevolent. Malevolent being bad and evil, benevolent being like not good or bad, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so these demons then are preaching the exact message that demons like to preach, which is what convinced me of it, where he's saying how he's not religious whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So if he's not religious whatsoever, he wouldn't know theology in the sense of what demons preach, if that makes sense.
Right.
So then them speaking through him in that way is so convincing to me and bizarre.
It's very strange.
Now, who knows if that video is real or not? I don't know. But I've based a lot of my belief around hallucinogenics on it, which is, I don't know if that's fair or not. But,
I don't know. You should send it to me, though, because I would be very interested in watching that.
I can try and find it.
Try and find it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know the YouTuber that I watched who reacted to it, so
yeah,
I can find it.
That kind of reminded me as soon as you said that, he put a blindfold on, because I do think that, I don't know, it's a battle. I think that Satan's going to try and weasel his way in anytime that he can. I think there are demons in this world and angels, and I think people who go looking for certain things, sometimes they find things that they're not necessarily looking for. I don't know. I read this story, and I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if it's true. It was on iFunny. If you ever owned
Nice.
iFunny
Okay,
back
cool.
in the day. Gosh, I feel old for saying that. But this guy, there was an experiment that was done by some doctors, and please forgive me. I think I'm going to send it to you afterwards. But okay, thank you. If I get any of this wrong, but I'm going to try and just explain it as best as I can.
Yeah, go for it.
Hopefully you've already read it and you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if not, then I'll try my best. So this, experiment was going on about, if you took away all of your senses, all 5 of your senses, what would that do to you? And so they threw this all out. We're asking people if you want to lose your eyesight, your sense of taste, touch, and smell, and all of that stuff. Who would be willing to do this? And there was this old guy. He was probably like 80. He lived a full life. You know, his family was already gone. And he said, I will be your test subject. You know, they finally got someone. And so they, you know, try to make it as painless as possible. But they took away his taste, his taste. It's permanent.
Whoa.
His eyesight, his taste, his smell, his touch, his hearing. And took away it all. And they recorded him and studied him as he was completely void of anything except for his mind. And oh my gosh, I think at first he was just talking about how quiet, and then he was starting to hear voices louder and louder and louder. And I
suppose he could still speak.
He could still speak. He couldn't hear himself speak, but he could still speak. I guess he was saying that, like, there was, you know, demons all around him. And then he started speaking about, you know, all the doctors that were in the room. He started speaking about all the family members of people who had passed away. Whoa. About the people in the room. He can't see, can't hear anything. He's just, you know, in his head. And it made a lot of the doctors quit. But, you know, the few that did stay, they watched him, and they thought he went insane because he was just like, there was so many demons, so many spiritual things around him. And he started trying to, like, gouge his eyes out. He started to try and, like, take chunks of his skin off, you know, things like that. They were like, holy crap, they had to strap him to the table. And I think 2 or 3 days went by, and he became very silent and quiet. And he said that he saw God. He said, I'm seeing God. And he was crying. And he was saying that God abandoned us, and then he died.
Whoa.
It was really weird. I need to find the story, and I need to send it to you. But I remember reading that and being like, holy crap, is this real? I mean, that would be
sounds like a creepypasta.
It sounds like a creepypasta. But
it's like the Russian sleep experiment. That's kind of what it sounds like. But
what's the Russian sleep experiment? Is that like that one movie?
No. I think it's some random video on YouTube. It's really convincing. It's some creepypasta where they claim that I want to say during the Soviet Union, somewhere around World War II at like ish time, something like that, they put some prisoners of war into a room, airtight room, and they would basically not allow them to sleep.
I would believe that.
Yeah, just to see what would happen, you know? And based off the video, crazy stuff happens. And eventually, you know, like one kind of dies off. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I don't remember many of the details, but they kind of turn into these like half alive monsters, if you will.
Really? They like go insane?
Yeah, like literally insane, like they're eating their own flesh and stuff.
Yuck.
Yeah, but like none of that's real. It's just a creepypasta. So it's like what you're saying. Do you know where it happened?
I'll send it to you. I don't know. Here, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll grab my phone. I'll try and find it.
Okay, yeah, break time. Break.
I think it's fiction.
You think so?
I think so. I think they're saying it's fiction, yeah. It's just funny that this says on Reddit. It's like, isn't that just creepypasta?
Yeah, it totally might be. That's crazy if I guessed it right.
You did. Oh, gosh.
The YouTube video that I was watching with like the 3 voices talking out of them, who knows what that is? I could look that up, actually. I know it was reacted to. Let me see if I could find the video on YouTube's. If I go to Isaiah Salvador, he had it on his videos. Yeah, he's like a
Salvatore Brothers. Love them.
Do you know who that is?
No, I'm thinking of.
You're thinking of a different guy?
No, I'm thinking of Vampire Diaries.
Oh, I don't know what that is. I've heard of it.
You haven't seen it? Salvatore Brothers, Damon and Stefan. They're wonderful.
Oh, shout out to them.
Shout out to them, yeah.
Love them.
Is this close enough to me? Hello.
Yeah, you can move it, by the way. It should rotate. Yeah. Nice.
Fair enough. I know I like scooched out of here when I left.
Yeah. You can move it a little bit closer.
Okay.
Can you?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
There, is that what you needed?
Yeah, that's my bad.
Oh.
Yeah, here we go. My schizophrenic demon possession, a Christian exorcist something 26 minutes. Found the video, I think.
I want to hear these voices that you're talking about.
I can show you after this.
Oh,
after
okay.
After the podcast.
Okay.
Let me share it. I could send it to you. So let me just have it on pull up here.
Sweet.
Yeah. So if anybody who's listening, my 5 viewers.
Your 5 viewers. I'll start watching your podcast. I'll be
Thanks.
your 6th viewer.
Thank you. I have 2 episodes out right now.
Do
They're
you?
awful. I hope nobody ever listens to them.
It's too late. I'm going to listen to them. Where do you post
tragedy.
your podcasts? Is it Spotify?
Yeah, pretty much everything. Plug time. YouTube, Spotify, everything else.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Then you could also join the Patreon to get every episode 1 week early.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Yeah. Give me your money. Yeah. So it's called My Schizophrenic Demon Possession, a Christian Exorcist something.
Jeez.
By Isaiah Salvador, if anybody wants to watch it.
All right. Yeah. Check that out.
Yeah, super do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good watch. Who knows if it's real or not?
Who knows? I'm going to take a switch. What is your favorite music to listen to?
Oh, boy. I really like all sorts of stuff. For a while there, back when I was like lonely and depressed, I really liked any like... What? Don't do that, please.
Okay. Continue.
No, I'm good. I'm super chilling now. My life's been awesome for the past year.
Good.
But I super liked, I don't know what it's called. The way my brother and cousin described it is just like any sad pretty girl singing. That's what I really was into. I don't know if that makes any sense. I know it's not a genre. Does it?
It makes sense.
I was super into all that. And then for a long time, I really like electro swing for like a weird one.
Electro swing.
If you know what that is.
Well, I can guess. I have a feeling there's a couple of songs that I can think of that I'm like...
grunge. I really like grunge. Yeah.
Okay.
Grunge is pretty cool. I like then all the other basic ones.
I think I like any...
basic white guy, whatever they like. That's
guy.
what I like. Yeah.
Yeah. I like any music that has, someone with a good voice. Absolutely love it. I will listen to anything, country, pop, indie, any of that stuff. If you have a good voice and it's got a good melody to it, I'm down for sure. And that's even like just good music too. Like I'm into piano a lot right now, or just like good melodies and just good music.
What describes a bad voice?
Screamo?
Oh,
or
okay.
like
yeah.
Or like
you don't appreciate the rough.
No. There is a couple songs actually that I will say that it is screamo a little bit, but it's a really beautiful song.
Okay.
In its own way. And they have like the screamo part, and then the melody is super good, and it's like he's got a really great voice. So like that's all things that I can get behind. So maybe not all screamo, but if I listen to a song that I'm just like, wow, I'm just not feeling the melody here, not a good song. It's not beautiful in a way. I don't want to listen to it. For instance, I was literally was driving along, and I added a bunch of my old songs that I had on Spotify. And a lot of those were from Caleb's playlist, Ethan's, Sam's.
Nice.
Raining Tacos came on the way as I was driving around. Classic. And I was like, okay, this song is definitely strange, but it was good. I was vibing to it,
Oh, yeah. Good. It's a silly, goofy time.
Good music. It's just my top over here. For sure. I think there's a song you actually recommended.
Hey, yo.
I think it was Funeral.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the pretty sad girls singing. That I love that. Yeah. I love anytime there's like a staticky noise that's incorporated into the song or music. It's like a... Oh, it's so fantastic.
Have you heard of Gracie Adams?
No.
You would love her.
Maybe.
You should look up Gracie Adams because you would be obsessed.
I don't think I should right now, because if I played a song, I'd get copyrighted. But
it's probably not a good idea. I don't think about those things. I'd be like, the songs be great. Your video has been taken down.
Yeah, I don't want that. That would be so she's just I guess, I don't know what genre that is.
I don't really know what genre that is either. She, I don't know. I would say maybe it's not pop.
I don't know. Do you know what grunge is?
No.
If anything, the funeral song is pretty close to grunge in a kind of a way.
What?
It's like a very emotionally down.
Oh.
It's like a very low. Man, how do you describe grunge? What, like, when I say the word grunge, how do you feel?
I think of like
you're in it. Like you're in a
more
trench.
like. No, I think of more like grunge is like more on the screamo type of things. Like
it's not quite. No, it's like screamo, but way toned down, where there's no screaming.
Oh.
So it's not screamo at all. But
so it's just like sad boy music, sad boy hours.
I guess so. I don't know. I don't know anything about music.
Oh.
If a song sounds good, I add it to my playlist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have a whole playlist called Sad Boy Hours, and maybe that's the grunge that you're talking about.
I like jazz.
Jazz is nice.
I'm kind of a jazz guy.
Mm-hmm. Michael Bublé.
Sure. Yeah.
Love him.
Sure. I like some of his songs. Yeah. I even just like instrumental.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's all you need.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm working, I'll just put some music on in the background.
Some elevator music.
Yeah, literally. Just something to fill in the void. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice. What's your job?
What's my job?
Yeah.
I'm bartending and serving at White House right now.
Oh, that sounds crazy.
Yeah. Why don't you ever come in and visit?
It's so garlicky. I don't know. I've been there once.
It's really garlicky. Yeah.
Do you get tired of that?
I get tired of smelling like it, for sure.
Yeah.
And come home and I'm like, I'm not going to do anything tonight except for take a shower.
Yeah. Gross. All right, cool. That's epic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
good stuff. Honestly,
garlic's not a bad smell, but it is strong.
Right. I am getting to that point in my life, though, where I'm like, I'm going to go back to school, start exploring a little bit. Yeah, of course.
What would you be going for?
I want to go and study, I was thinking just like to start going into pre-veterinarian again, because I already have a semester of that under my belt. So just like continue on with that. But I would be very open to just studying animals, in their natural habitat too, and like not being stuck in a place where I have to.
That'd be cool.
Be like a veterinarian, like maybe someday.
You'd be like one of those people out there with the gorillas.
Yeah.
You're just like standing still, not trying to aggravate them as they like slowly walk by you, and you're like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's kind of what I want to do. Like I want to go and look at the rainforest a lot, or go to the safari and really study animals. Or
you should fist pump a gorilla.
I really don't think that would be a good idea.
You don't think so?
But I watched Tarzan last night, and that would be really cool,
Oh, yeah. Tarzan, well, they're like homies in that.
I mean, yeah. Like, maybe I'd be a homie, but I don't know. I think my toxic trait is I would go into, some natural habitat thinking that all the animals could, like, feel my kind soul. Like Snow White. And be, like, going out there and be like, they know I'm great. They know I love them. I'm going to die.
Whatever you do, don't expose your neck to a big cat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just so you know.
Just so I know.
Yeah.
Probably.
I don't think they care about like how kind you are.
Yeah. But I love you. Stop killing me.
But then again, some people are just animal whisperers.
Some people
can just walk up to some ferocious cat and the cat will just be loving on them.
I know. What was that? Steve Irwin?
Oh, Steve Irwin?
Is that who he is? Is that his name?
The Australian guy who was a blessing to this world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
He was really sweet. I want to be kind of like him. And then, someday, when I'm done with the traveling bit of it and really want to settle down, maybe I'll meet my husband.
Shout out to him.
Well, yeah. God really needs to hurry up. No, I'm kind of just threw it in his hands. I'm like, you pick for me. I'm done.
Yep.
Deciding my own choices over here.
That's all I've done.
Mm-hmm. Call it good. But, maybe he would be like cool to like go travel around the world with me a little bit and like write papers on it, or like be a cool scientist who like studies animals and new things like that, or maybe helps animals or something
crazy.
Yeah. And then someday when I'm ready to start having kids, be a veterinarian in whatever town I'm in. And
oh wow, yeah,
cool. So that's kind of like the long-term goal.
Yeah, right. That's the direction that you're gonna start walking in potentially. We're gonna start going back to school and we're gonna see. I was thinking about going back in the springtime, talking to the people about it, do all like the prerequisites here in CDA, and then nice. Yeah. Well, NIC is losing its accreditation, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's been like going on and off now for many years, and supposedly they're supposed to lose it this time.
What?
Which is a big thing.
I
which
will
they might
have
just
to leave.
Maybe.
Maybe I should not go to NIC.
At least look into it before you do, because if you lose if they lose their accreditation while you're trying to get credits, I think all of your credits are voided.
That's sad.
So definitely look into that.
Do you get money back?
I don't know. Probably not. Yeah. Why? What?
Screw you. You decided to come here. What do you mean?
Yeah. What? No.
I said I'm suing.
Yeah. Maybe you can. I don't know. I don't know what the. I don't know. I've never really looked into it. I just hear things from all the college students that I'm around as they make fun of NIC. Jeremiah, he just graduated from NIC through Diesel Tech.
Very cool. Diesel Tech. What's he going to school for? He's going to school for cars?
Well, he's in the military as a mechanic, so he works on tanks, actually.
Oh, he's doing what my friend did. Wait, National Guard?
National Guard.
Yep.
For Idaho. He works on Bradley's. He's the above, like anything above Boise, he is the one and only Bradley mechanic.
Shout out to Jeremiah.
So, like, he's the guy, and then he's been working. He just quit. He's moving out of Boise now.
Boise. He said, your brother.
I know, right? My other half, if you will. Apparently, other people don't like it when I say that because that's usually more reserved for a spouse. But
no, it's
he's my twin brother, so
it's your twin flame.
And neither of us have a spouse at the moment. So, as far as I'm concerned, he's literally me, but slightly different.
Nah, I think that's I say keep saying it.
Thank you. Yeah, I will.
And anytime someone gives you crap, be like, Lenita said was fine, so.
I will, yeah. That's what I'll tell them. Take it up with Lenita.
Yeah.
I'll
take all the calls you need.
But yeah, he was working at the Grease Monkey, if you know where that is.
Yeah.
Shout out to Grease Monkey. If anybody ever needs an oil change, Grease Monkey's awesome.
Yeah. They gave me a flower when I went there.
Yeah.
They do that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They give you flowers.
Grease Monkey's awesome. They're the only place that I actually trust that don't upcharge you.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
A lot of places upcharge you these days.
Yeah, it's really fun. Jeremiah's always had fun stories of giving. He'll actually offer men. He'll say, do you want a flower to bring home to your mistress? You know, and some of them refuse.
Mistress.
Yeah.
Like that's a bad way to say it.
Oh, is it?
Mistress.
Take a flower home to the missus, yeah, to their wife or their love.
How about your mistress? Not the other one, but the other one. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the one that the real wife doesn't know about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. Jeremiah and I were like, are you kidding me? He's like literally giving them a massive win, and they deny it.
Rude. Men these days.
Crazy, right?
You better choose a good one for me.
As far as, I mean, if Jeremiah and I are just flabbergasted at that. Here's a free flower.
Free.
Just go give it to her. And they're like, nah, it's all good. She doesn't need that. It's crazy. Anyways, so yeah, they give flowers out. It's really fun. Connor, his boss, love the guy, right? Mm-hmm. He's super awesome. He would always give me a flower.
Nice.
Every time I showed up.
Made you feel a little special inside.
It was awesome.
Made me feel special. I was like, a flower for me? And they were like, yeah, we give out flowers. I was like, it's a really good thing to do.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, it makes
Have
you
you ever
feel
gone
happy.
back?
No. The reason I haven't, though, is because I got a new car, Subaru car, and it was owned by one owner the entirety of, him buying it pretty much. Yeah.
Cool.
And every single time he got an oil change or he got it fixed or looked at, he always took it to the Subaru dealership. So on Carfax or something
yeah.
They,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they definitely have every single thing that they do. Like they got an oil change here. Yep, they got this here. Yeah. And so that's why I've only gone to them since with my new car. But I did enjoy that experience. So if anyone's really wanting to go and get their oil changed,
sponsor me, Grease Monkey.
There you go. Post Falls, cool. Idaho, buddy.
That's right. Represent. Proud to be here. I think I don't even live here anymore. I do miss it though. I intend on showing back up here eventually. Really? That's kind of the goal.
It's really great here. Except, actually, no. Stay where you are.
Yeah, it sucks here.
It's the worst.
Can't stand it here. I don't want to. I mean, I can't wait to leave.
Yeah. He's already gone, actually. We kicked this one out. Gone, yeah. He said it was awful.
My life has gotten better since I left, but not because of the area.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. Yeah. I moved to the college town last year, right? Obviously with your brother. Yeah. My life has changed a lot. It's been good.
Life is crazy. It just keeps going. Just keeps giving you more life.
Just keeps going.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. So you're working at the Garlic House. That's what I'm going to call
Garlic
it.
House.
Have you ever been to the Snake Pit?
The Snake Pit.
Yeah.
Is that on the way to Kingston?
I don't know. It's like Coeur d'Alene River or somewhere along there.
Yeah. Is it like kind of when you're going to Bumblebee?
I don't know what's Bumblebee.
That's where you float.
Yeah.
It's around that area.
I think so, yeah.
I've heard of it.
It's along the river where you...
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
I just
cool.
have never been there.
They have a ton of things on their walls, but one of them is a quote from the White House grill, and it's like they're dissing it for the garlic, something like that. I don't remember the quote, so maybe I shouldn't have brought it up, but it's pretty funny.
Oh boy.
So okay, so you're a waitress then?
Waitress, bartender, yeah.
How?
I have to say bartender in there because I got promoted.
Hey, nice.
So.
Do you have any crazy stories? Because I know customer service isn't exactly the most glamorous thing every single day.
I had someone last night, actually. They were the biggest water drinkers I've ever had. And like, probably ever. They were just chuggers. You know what I mean?
Just absolute chuggers.
Absolute chuggers. And that's fine. Like, drink your water. Stay hydrated, kids. But they ordered a lot of food. And I swear to you, every single time, like, I would go and get them all water, make sure they were good, go back out inside, check on my tables inside, and then go back outside. And every single time I went outside to check on them, which I went out quite often because I had, 2 or 3 other tables that I was like getting drinks for, or making sure their food was good, or taking their orders. Every single time their waters were down. Dang. Every single time. So I was like constantly over there, just like, Jesus, you guys are drinking a lot. My goodness. And I think their bill was $100 almost.
Oh, wow.
Even. And if you take 20% of that, or let's say 18%, what is that?
I don't know, $18?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tipped me $6. And then they wrote the sweetest little note that said, "Thank you so much for keeping our waters full. You were such a good waitress. You're so great." And tipped me $6. I was like, it's, you take what you can get in this world. But I was like, with the note, I'm like, they were like, "You're so great. Here's $6."
It sounds more like they would have paid you more if they could.
Yeah.
That's what the note kind of sounds like to me.
A little bit. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other crazy stories that I have.
Any bad experience? Oh, okay, you got one.
Ooh, okay, yes, I do. This was the only time that I've ever seen anyone get kicked out of White House by Raji himself. And
by Raji himself? He's the man upstairs.
He's the owner. Yeah,
he's the top guy.
He owns the Pentagon, he owns the Oval, and he owns the White House.
Wow.
He's Raji.
I didn't know. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. He's set.
He's set. Yeah. Nice Turkish man. He's wonderful. We love him.
Awesome. Shout out to, what was his name?
Raji Erdem. He's great.
Cool.
Owns the White House. You'll see him in there.
I should have him on.
You should. Go grab
cool.
him. He's from Turkey, so I mean, it'd be.
Does he speak English?
Yeah, he has a thick accent, but yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
What is a Turkish accent?
I can't. I'm like trying to do it without like swearing because he swears. What are you doing back here? I don't know.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, he just has a very thick accent.
Very fun accent.
Yes, he does. Lenita, how are you today?
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
I would love to talk to him. That'd be fun.
He's very nice. There was this one time, though. It was my table.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, man. I forgot that this happened. Basically, what had happened is I had a tent top, okay? And pretty much...
What? A what?
Oh, a tent top. 10 people showed up, and I was serving them. 10 people.
Oh, okay. I heard TED Talk at first.
Oh, TED Talk?
Oh, what?
A TED Talk. That's after this. I'm actually really famous.
Yeah. For sure.
No, he was in there that night, and I had got everyone waters. We got a bunch of appetizers going for the people. And almost everyone had shown up. I think there was one person that they were still waiting on. And I don't know, things were going smooth. Nothing was going bad. They all had gotten their drinks. They had all gotten their appetizers. And then we got their food put in. And I guess in between the time of like I put their food order in, everyone was good on drinks. I'm just waiting for their food to come out now. In between that time when I'm waiting for their food, there was a couple girls that showed up that knew the family, I guess. And they ended up kind of sitting at the end of the table. It was only there for 10 people, but that girl sat there and then the other girl sat at the end. And there was this old guy. He was like 75 maybe.
Oh.
Yeah. And this whole family is here. You got 2 young kids there. You got a wife and a husband. You have the 75-year-old man, and across from him is what looks like his daughter. And you have a mother here, and I think and one more child, and then the 2 new girls that showed up. And one of the girls that shows up, she's wearing, it's around winter time at this point, but she's wearing like this nice fuzzy hat. It kind of looks like a fox, fur. She's got like fur lining here.
She's all snazzed up. Very bougie. She had like got the nails. Cool, she had, the full face of makeup. I don't know. She just was like glammed out, and she kind of acted like it too. And I went over and I got them waters and I asked them if they would like to order anything to eat. And they were kind of like, no, like we'll just grab drinks. We're just here to say hello. And I said, okay, great. Got them some drinks. Was fine with it. I mean, they were kind of sitting like on the corner, like there wasn't really a spot for them, but I was more than happy just to be like, it's fine. I really don't mind. Yeah. Because I get it. I have a huge family, people show up unexpectedly. You're like, please don't like make us move or make them sit at another whole table. You know what I mean? Sure. Yeah.
Anyway, I go and grab them drinks and I bring the drinks over here. And I'm getting the vibe that the daughter across from the 75-year-old man does not like this girl in the fur. She hates her. They're like sitting there giving each other glares. And the girl, she looks like she could be 26 or 27.
Okay.
And she's very close to the man who's 75.
Oh.
Very, very close. I was getting kind of a sugar daddy and sugar baby kind of a vibe a little bit. She was all over him. And the daughter, who looked like to be the same age, did not like her. Okay. So I was just kind of like, oh, notice that. We start bringing their food out. And I go back there with plates in my hands. I'm like passing out everything. And the daughter and the other girl are now standing up. And they're bickering back and forth.
Whoa.
She's saying, I'm going to take the grandpa with me. I'm going to take him and we're going to go back to my place. And the other girl screaming at her like, no, you're not. He's with me. I'm in charge of him. I'm taking care of my dad. Blah, blah, blah. Like they started shouting at each other. And I'm all blind eye over here trying to be like, here's your Chilean sea bass and here's that. And I'll be back for some more. Like, oh gosh. And at this point they're sitting there screaming at each other. So I run back. I grab more food. I'm trying to just be like, hopefully they'll sort it out and it's fine.
Is it a scene at this point?
At this point, when I come back, it is a scene.
Oh, yeah.
She grabs her drink, throws it all over the daughter.
No way.
The daughter's like, oh, you want to go? You want to beep, 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 beep. It's like curses everywhere. The kids start crying. The daughter grabs her plate of food, throws it at the girl, and starts to come around the table to fight her. And at this point, I have another server come over to help me. I'm all, guys, come on, like, calm down. Like, we're trying to separate. I'm like, no, we're not doing that here. The 75-year-old man who they're fighting over.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I'm going to take him home with me. And the other daughter's freaking out at this point. Because he starts trying to get the old man up. He's just chilling. He literally looks like he could not be more bothered. He's just like, 2 women fighting over me, my daughter and my girl, I guess. And so we're trying
That's crazy.
Yeah, we're trying to separate the two. And this girl in the fur is pissed now. She's absolutely pissed. She's got food on her. She's like, I'm going to kill you. Like, kick your ass. So she's trying to grab more drinks. She's trying to throw them at her. There's like glasses breaking over here. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're having to have people in between them, hold them back from each other. And Raji comes around the corner because I'm like, someone go get Raji right now, because he was there. I said, I'm not having to deal with this. My heart was beating at 1,000,000 miles per hour. I'm like, I do not like conflict, everyone, please.
Well, yeah. Oh my gosh.
The kids are screaming. They're like, oh my gosh, Mom. And Raji comes over and he's trying to diffuse the situation. He's like, calm down. And they're trying to explain it to him. Like, he's trying to take my dad and this beep, 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 doesn't know what she's doing. You know, she's just like a little sleut and homewrecker and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
all the good stuff.
So I'm getting at this point, you know, I was right. You know, she's definitely a sugar baby for this guy. And the daughter definitely doesn't like her. And so Raji's like, no, okay, I think we should just like maybe get you at your own table. He says to the girl who is in the fur and her friend. And they're like, why? She's the one throwing stuff at me and all of these things. And he's just like, no, like, I just need you guys to calm down or just to leave. And while he's saying that, the girl in the fur sidesteps him and like goes to throw the biggest punch at this girl.
No way.
And, you know, one of the family member, the guy like steps in, is like, stop fighting, stop it. And so Raj's like, okay, you're done, you're out, everyone out. My entire table, they're like, you're done, everyone up and out of here. I need you guys to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's a whole scene at this point. There's broken glass over here. You know, they were screaming. The kids are still crying.
Get out of my restaurant, fools.
Get out of my restaurant. Everyone's time is ruined now. You guys are all done. And so, he starts like escorting them all out. The kids are still crying because they're like, my fish, I was gonna eat the fish. And so me being like heartbroken as I was, I'm like, I know that he's gonna comp all of this food so that I don't have to pay for it, obviously, because if someone doesn't pay their tab, you know, they like walk out on me, I have to pay it.
Really?
Really. So
wow.
Don't ever do that to your server. If you get food and you're like, I can't afford it, but it's fine, it'll just, the man has lots of money, the big man on top. No. The server has to pay for that.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's happened to me only once. Get back to that.
That's a whole other story, yeah.
But I knew that Raji was going to take everything off because obviously they didn't eat any of their food, you know, the drinks and the meal. Like, they didn't have time to pay. He wasn't giving them an option. He said, get out. And so I went and grabbed a couple boxes for the kids. I'm all, here's your food. Here you go. Don't show Raji, just go.
Just go.
Take it. I'm all trying to wipe the tears off of this little girl. She was having a hard time. The mom was also crying. She's like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so sorry. Like, it's my family, but like, oh my goodness. And I was like, it's fine. Just have a good night. Sorry, guys. And the girl with the fur all the way out, she was screaming at Raji. Raji was like, escorting her out. She's like, don't touch me, blah, 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 blah. You're such a rapist because you're touching me. He's touching me without consent. Guys, oh my gosh, ouch, I'm hurt. Like, the entire time, it was like the biggest scene. I was literally just like, I've never seen anyone like that in my entire life. Yeah, so that was probably the craziest experience that I saw. It was it was really eventful. It was all we talked about all night.
That's what I was asking for, I guess. Just like a fight. Like, what gets crazier than a fight? A cat fight, too. That's awesome.
Oh, people who do it in the bathrooms?
Oh, no way. At the Garlic House? The White House? No way.
There was one time I walked in after this couple, and they walked out together. I was like, what you doing, guys? Yeah, there was some evidence there, so.
Ooh. Yeah, who cleans that up?
I didn't touch it. I said, nope. I went and grabbed the dishwasher. Man, he put on gloves.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to him.
Taking one for the team.
Yeah.
That's rough.
I know. I see some crazy people, you know, come in sometimes. But also some really nice ones. We have our regulars who are just sweet and nice as can be.
And then you had to pay for a dish at some point.
Oh, yes. This was probably the most frustrating one. Because I guess they knew, you know, they used to work at White House. They knew a couple people in the kitchen. And there was these two guys, and they were sitting at my table. The good news is they didn't get a lot of food. They got 2 appetizers, 2 meals, 2 drinks. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, like, it was kind of up there. It was like $80 or $90 or something like that. But it wasn't it wasn't that bad. What happened is, you know, the entire time, these 2 men, I think the thing that gets me the most is they were constantly like asking for my number, you know, asking if I was single. Just being super disrespectful. Kind of like, it was bordering the line of disrespectful. At first I was just like, oh, thank you, but no thank you, you know, appreciate it, but I'm not really looking right now. And you know, they really did not seem like the type that goes to church or anything like that. They seemed not to judge people, but you can kind of tell the signs and, you know, the way that they were acting with each other and whatever. But I was just, you know, constantly like, no, they just kept being like, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so gorgeous, like all these things. So I think it just put more to insult that like they didn't pay at the end of it. I'm like, what the heck, you guys suck.
What the heck, you silly goopers?
What you doing? And I don't know. I got them their food. They were about done. I went and brought them their bill. And I brought them their bill and I like walked back to the back and I had a weird feeling. I just did. I did. What they did is, like it was almost $100. It was like 95 or something. Cause I remember
that's up there.
They left.
That's a lot.
They put $20 in the thing and they started to leave. So as soon as they started to leave, I don't know why I had this feeling. Cause I never check. Usually I'm like running around, you know, if I put the check down and then they ended up leaving, I assume they paid with cash and they're good.
Yeah.
I checked this time. I never do that, but I did. And I went and checked. There's $20 in there and there's nothing else. And so I'm like, they're walking out right now. I'm like, they didn't pay for their full thing. So I'm like, I don't want to run after them. They're like two tall men. And I'm like, feeling nervous at this point. I'm like, my social anxiety comes in. I'm doing better though. Becoming a confident queen. Stand up for yourself, ladies. But I went and grabbed my coworker, Hunter.
Cool. Good.
And I'm all, they didn't pay their tab. They're walking out. What do I do? Like, do I go grab them? Should I go with you? Like, can you please, like, help me out with this? So he runs after them and is like, yo, y'all didn't pay your tab. What the heck? And they basically just told him to F off. They just said, screw you. What are you going to do about it?
Call the cops. Write down their license plate. That's literally theft, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
That's illegal.
It's illegal. But no, Hunter was following him, trying to get him to pay, trying to get him to do this, and they just like, we're almost going to fight him at this point. So Hunter was just like, whatever. They walked off. And so I put the $20 towards it, and so I had to pay like $75 that night.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's a few hours of work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dang.
It was pretty sad.
But otherwise, it's a joy to work there.
For the most part, I everyone that I work with, I see as my family. Cool. For the most part, you know, there's some that I'm like, but I think I love the people there.
My job being like a YouTuber and all that, huge blessing for sure. No complaints here, but one thing I do miss is the coworkers, at least to a degree. There's obviously coworkers that I was not the most fond of, but the coworkers that you are friends with, they're fun. You
have a great time, yeah.
They're fun, and they make the job, you know, kind of worth going to. Do you have any coworkers that you just love? Absolutely. I like all my girls. So I got Brittany and Lexi, who are Shout
my
out.
mains. I love you, babies. I got Hannah and Marissa. Emma got fired, but we still love Emma.
Dang.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. She now works at New Love in Liberty Lake. Go and see her because she's beautiful and wonderful. I saw her yesterday. And it's her birthday this week. Her and Marissa's birthday.
Oh, wow.
I know. Crazy stuff.
Cool.
But like all my girls there. Hunter's another one that I love. Get excited to see him. Tilly. Love her. Jeff is the one that sent me the atheist religious list thing that I need to send you. Yeah.
Sick.
If I'm forgetting one of my friends, I do love you. I swear. Just tired. Maybe.
Or maybe not. Maybe you got them all.
Maybe.
Yeah, I worked at like Zips and Jimmy John's. Those were my two formal jobs.
Nice.
Formal, if you will.
Yeah. If you will.
Yeah. Other than YouTube, that's the only other jobs I've ever had, and thankfully, I never had to deal with customer service whatsoever. I was always in the back doing the kitchen stuff. Yeah. So I escaped a lot of the pain of working in a more formal setting, if you will. I guess that's true. My first job was a restaurant job, and then I worked at Dutch Bros for the longest time, and then worked at the property management place. Oh yeah, right. That for a bit, and then I'm working back over here. But I mean, honestly, I love it a lot. I kind of have all my mornings to myself. Like yesterday, I spent all morning, going about and doing my things. And then the day before that, I went and spent all morning at the beach before work. Oh, so that's awesome. That's something that I like about not working the typical 9 to 5 is being able to actually enjoy the summer and the day. Because, otherwise you get off at 5 o'clock and then, the day's kind of over and you go home because you're tired and you need food and then it's
nighttime.
That's it.
That's it.
Then you turn on the TV and waste your life away.
It's really sad.
You big TV movie person?
I don't even have a television in my house.
I think Caleb was telling me that you wanted to go skydiving.
I did.
No way, really?
Really, really? You want to see some pictures?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, man, how was that?
It was amazing.
I've always wanted to go. Skydiving sounds awesome.
Much fun. I enjoyed it immensely. I was not as scared as I thought I was going to be.
Really, jumping out of the plane, you were chilling?
I was fine. Like, honestly, I always thought about skydiving as, oh, it's going to be terrifying as soon as you get up there. It's going to be the worst, like, fear imaginable.
Yeah.
I went with my friend Hannah. She works with me.
Nice.
All right. Move away from the speaker.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, you see that?
Yeah, how high up were you?
We were really high up. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, we had a blast. I don't know what it was, but I just felt like, nope, I'm doing this. This is gonna be so much fun. It's gonna be great. And Hannah was more freaked out than I was, actually. She ended up going first. Because they say if you're less scared to go second, because if you're freaking out and then you see the person dive in front of you,
so true.
It freaks you out more.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
I would not have thought that far ahead. I would have been like, oh, you're scared? I'm out of here. Jumps. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a great feeling. Okay, whoever said that you don't feel it all the way down, they lie. I felt it all the way down.
What are you feeling all the way down?
It's like the stomach drop feeling. Like some people say, like, you jump out and it's only the first initial, like, whoop, that you feel like you're falling. And then as soon as you put up the parachute, you don't really feel like you're falling anymore. You just kind of feel like you're gliding. And you're having to, like... I definitely felt it the whole way.
Even in a
maybe
parachute,
not as
you're
intense.
moving pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, pretty quick down. No, like, I guess wasn't as intense as, like, the first initial drop, because, like, as you're there in the air and you're falling around, craziest feeling, because...
I would love that. It was
so much fun.
I've always thought about how it kind of bugs me how I can't exist, or I can't just be not touching something. The only time you're not touching something around you, excluding the air, is when you're mid-jump. And it's for a brief moment. Yeah. Otherwise, my foot's on the ground, my butt's on the floor, or my hand is holding onto something. Yeah. There's always something I'm touching, and to try and feel the experience of not touching anything, water might be the closest thing I've ever come to experience that. But even you feel water. Yeah. Unless it's warm. Like if it's the same temperature as your body, then it feels really weird because you don't really feel it. But so skydiving, I don't know. Was the air cold?
It was a little cold. It wasn't actually that bad. I thought it was going to be worse. Like, you saw what I was wearing. I was wearing, let me just make sure I'm correct in this.
Nothing wintry.
No, not at all. I wore leggings and a t-shirt. Yeah. And that was it. And honestly, it was just a really wonderful feeling. I felt very free.
Yeah. How long were you in the air for? How long does the falling last?
The falling, I think it only lasts, oh my gosh, I'm going to get it wrong. But you fall until you, I think we started out at like 8,000 feet, like when we were like jump out of the plane. Yeah. Because you have to get somewhere between 7,000 and 9,000. So we were like about 8,000. And I think we fall all the way until it's like, I'm going to get it wrong. I can't say. I don't know. I just know that we jumped out, and it was probably for like a good minute or two when we were just like,
that's pretty solid.
Just like the entire time. Wow. It was just the craziest experience. I think what gets me more than anything to describe it to you is you're about to jump out of this plane, right? Yeah. And you're sitting here looking at it and you're like, well, there's no going back now. Like, here I am. And so I saw Hannah go out first, and I was honestly laughing because the lady like takes her out, gets her on the edge of the plane. They like sit there and they go, meow. And I was like, it was just the funniest thing I could like imagine at that point. Yeah. And so I started jumping out, and I don't know, you're just kind of in the air like, holy crap. I just like never experienced anything else like that before.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do it. What's up, Jer? Yeah, what time is it?
Oh, I guess it's about that
Look at the
time.
bottom right. How long have we got?
2 hours and 2 minutes.
Woo!
Nice, dude.
That's pretty decent time.
I guess we'll close it off then.
I guess so.
This is Lenita Sedgwick, everybody. She's awesome. Do you have anything that you want to like shout out or promote or?
Yeah. Come to White House Grill. It's, where I work. Please bring us some peoples. Also, watch his podcast. He's pretty great.
For sure.
Let's make the man famous.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any closing remarks?
Ask a lot of questions in this world.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
I guess so.
All right. Cut. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. If you want to support us, you can find us on Patreon. The link will be in the description. If you join the Patreon, you'll get each episode a week early, along with some maybe blooper reels, all sorts of fun stuff that we might end up cutting out of the regular episode.
Oh, yeah.
You'll also be supporting the team, me, Dylan, and John behind the camera. It's a little skeleton crew we got going.
Links in the down under.
In the land down under.
See, that's funny because that's Australia. Yeah, you guys can find us on any of the big podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, I guess. If that was a podcast platform, that'd be great. Yeah, we'll see you in the next episode.
God bless you all.
It was good.
That was good.
I like the little shitter about the YouTube thing.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
funny.
it was good. Ow, dude. Oh.